In this video, we're going to learn the process of modeling non-destructively. All right, so in the last lesson, we had created these rubber bumpers, I guess is what they're called, little pads. And we used the lathe modifier, but then we created these clips along the bottom, and we used an edit poly modifier to do that. And I want to talk a little bit more about this because it does have some great advantages, and it does have a few caveats that we'll have to watch out for. So one element that we've been forgetting to work with is this back part here, where the battery actually plugs into the back of the drone. And you'll see that the middle portion of this bottom actually extends all the way back to here. So let's go ahead and talk about how to do that. So on the drone itself, if I wanted to start working with these polygons back here, I would have to add an edit poly modifier above the symmetries, because if we go back down to edit poly, you'll notice that those disappear. They're only there because of the symmetry modifiers. So let's select the top symmetry modifier and then add an edit poly modifier. Now with that added, we can now come in and start selecting the polygons that are underneath here. Now what I want to do is I want to come in and delete these extra polygons and just get rid of those. They need to be out of the way, so that way I can come in and start extruding this piece here. So to get started with this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to edge mode, and I'm going to select these two edges along with this, and I'm going to grab my move tool and hold down shift and drag this forward in the Y. Now I'm going to pull it up to right about here, and then I'm going to go to vertex mode, and I'm going to use target weld, and if I hit F3, I'm going to target weld this vertex to this vertex. So it's going to leave this little triangle right here, and that's fine for now. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing on this side. And then we're going to go to border mode. So I'm going to select this border right here. Now you'll notice that it's trying to select everything else. Let's go to edge mode really quickly, and let's do this edge to this edge. Oops. And let's use the bridge tool. Now bridge, what it does is it takes two edges and it bridges them with a polygon. So we get something that looks like this. Let's do the same thing for this side, and we're going to bridge that. And then we'll take this polygon, or excuse me, this edge and this edge. I'm going to select all four of those and then hit bridge, and it'll create it with two polygons. So now that I have that, let's go ahead and get the rest of our geometry. So what I need to do is I'm going to go to polygon mode, and I'm going to take this edge, and I'm going to extrude this out, and I'm going to go out to here, basically to right underneath this part right here. Okay, something like that, and then I'm going to add one more to that, and then we'll hit OK. Now let's take these polygons out from underneath here and just delete those. Now you might be asking, wait a minute, why are we deleting all of those? We just recreated them. That's fine. We're just going to delete them out. I really just needed them for the extra segments. So now let's go to vertex mode and target weld from here to here, and then here all the way up to here, here to here, and then here to here. So now I've got this polygon here that's really not that great looking. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to add another segment right across the middle here. And so I'm going to go edit Swift Loop, and let me add it right about the middle of that. Okay, just like that. And then we'll go to polygon mode, and let's select all four of these. And then I'm going to extrude that out, and then I'm going to make that planar. So we're going to use make planar, and I believe it's going to be the Z direction. Yep. And then we'll go to our front view, or actually our left view. And you'll see that it came out at kind of an angle on that. And what I want to do is I just want to raise it up in the Y a little bit and just get it straight up and down here. All right, so let's take a look at this really quickly. If I hit F3, I need to bring this polygon up. Somehow that got off just a little bit, but that's okay. Let's hit Alt-X, and let me pull that up. And I just want that to be straight across the bottom there. I could go ahead and just go to vertex mode, and let's go to our front view, and I'm going to select all these vertices across the bottom here. If you need to, hit F3 and you can see that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use make planar, and I believe it's the Y. Yep. Okay, so that makes it nice and flat. And then we're going to take this one. Let's hit V and then K, go across the back. And I'm going to pull that up just to get it nice and straight here. All right. So now that we have that, that all looks great. And then with this, we can now go ahead and go to polygon mode. Take these 4 polygons, and let's go to our left view. You'll notice that it's not matching our reference image very well. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of let that go for the moment, because whenever we start modeling with this, it can create a few issues. Okay, if we start cutting that apart and trying to get that out at this point, I could come in and add a segment right here, and then with that we're going to make planar in the Z direction. Actually, it's going to be the Y direction. There we go. And then I'll take these polygons right here and delete those. And let's grab those edges across the bottom. And in my left view, I'm going to pull that forward. Okay, just like that. And then I'm going to hold Shift, drag that up. And let's pull it up till it touches, and then go to vertex mode. And what I'm doing is I'm going to right click and target weld from the inside to the outside. So it's going to be this one here to here. Let me back up a little bit so you can see what's happening there. And then we'll take these edges and then bridge those. Okay. And so now, with these polygons selected again, if we go to our left view, I could go ahead and extrude it one more time to get that battery pack. And I am going to extrude it off the back a little bit further from the reference image and what we have. And so it should look something like this. Now, we went a really long way to get all of this, and we do have a couple of holes here. Let me right click and target weld from here to here, and let's do the same thing underneath just to make sure that that is welded, and it is. Okay, so I'm going to hit Control Z, and there we go. So now we have the back of that. Now all of this is contained inside this Edit Poly modifier. If I decide that at some point that I don't like the way that that was built and I want to go back, I could simply turn it off or delete it, and it will go back to that original shape. Now, the one caveat that we have with using this is that if we were to go down to the Edit Poly level, lower in the stack, it's going to give us this warning saying, hey, there's a modifier above this that is dependent on the topology. In this case, the dependent is the Edit Poly modifier. So if I were to come in and I hold yes, and I started changing the topology of the model, let's say that I took this edge right here and I hit Control Backspace and deleted it, it would mess everything else up above. Now the symmetry would work just fine, but the Edit Poly would not work. And we would have a lot of issues with that, and we really don't want to do that. So now that we have this, let's just take a look at it with it smoothed. And I'm really happy with the shape that I have so far. And so we're going to go ahead and leave it just that way. So it looks really good at this point. So now that we have that, and we have, you know, the back detail on that, we've got that blocked in. And again, we're just working on basic forms right now. We're not trying to model out any details. Now we can go ahead and move in and start working on some of the camera pieces. And at this point, we'll start kind of reworking with some of the tools that we've already learned. We'll use some primitives. We'll talk about insetting. We'll use a couple of new tools as well. But this is going to be a time that you can start to use those tools more and become more comfortable with them. So we'll go ahead and we'll start on that in our next lesson.